we must be very much concerned about what is happening in Zimbabwe and what role we need to play to solve what is happening in Zimbabwe, because we don't subscribe to the idea of a regime change in Zimbabwe. We need to campaign very hard to get things right, because Zimbabweans are coming to our country in their numbers because something is not right in their own country, which we must support them. And once that country becomes what it was, there will be no Zimbabwean here. So the British must think very hard about what they've done, and the Americans. They must uplift the sanctions so that Zimbabwe can grow as the economy, and not use sanctions to deepen the pain and the impoverishment of Zimbabwe. The British know what they agreed to in Lancaster. They must come to the party and invest in the compensation of the Zimbabweans in the program of land redistribution. The 40 or something billion pounds they promised Mugabe and ZANU PF, they must come to the party and not use the issue of land reform program of ZANU PF as a scapegoat to run away. So they must come to the party, and Zimbabwe will be a better country. Zimbabweans never came in this country. That was a breadbasket of the African continent. It was an economy that was alive. People were working in Zimbabwe. Now you've got Zimbabweans crossing, facing life and death, crocodiles coming into our country because there is no life. And where life is here in South Africa. And that has embedded our economy. But as the ANC, we will not agree in ideological terms that Zimbabwe must be turned into a client state next to us. So we need to get that right. We need to campaign for the self-determination of the people of Western Sahara and the Cuban people.
I wish to see ANC being more honest in terms of dealing with the problems in the nation of Zimbabwe. They cannot dwell much on sanctions only, but they must speak heavily on corruption. We've had 15 billion which went missing, and President Robert Mugabe reported about it, that 15 billion went missing in the nation of Zimbabwe. We've never seen the ANC government trying to hold their counterparts in Zimbabwe accountable for that. We have seen looting of state funds, state resources and state coffers, but the ANC is quiet about that. We have seen a lot of people being arrested for exposing corruption, for fighting corruption, but the ANC is not speaking about all that. What they are focusing on is sanctions, and these sanctions are attracted by human rights abuses, by corruption, and whatsoever. So we wanted ANC to be serious, to be sincere. There is a list on Zidera. Take Zidera out. Ask the government of Zimbabwe and other opposition political organizations to sit down together, then speak through things. The only aspect which we might agree on resolving as a nation is on the issue of land, how to resolve the land issue. But if you look on the issue of corruption, if you look on the issue of human rights abuses, if you look on the issue of vote rigging and election manipulation, all those things, they need to be to ANC to speak against them, so that they end in the nation of Zimbabwe, so that we enhance the lifting of the sanctions on Zimbabwe.